Well, good morning, YouTube. Well, morning for me. You probably won't be watching this in the morning because according to YouTube analytics, not a lot of people watch my videos in the morning, which I get. Anyway, not that that matters. I've got myself into a bit of a dilemma today. So, in another video, I don't know if it'll be before this one or after this one. Probably be after this one, but anyway, I'm wearing a shirt that says "Can't fix stupid," and we're gonna live up to that yet again today. And so I kind of did a thing, right? We got Fenderwell headers because the headers I wanted were on back order. And so I made the decision to go, well, you know what the hell, let's get the Fenderwell headers, because Fenderwell headers are freaking cool, and they are freaking cool. I do love the Fenderwell headers. But see, what happened was, like any good story, I went to cancel the back order, and turns out on Speedway you can't cancel a back order just by pulling up your account and going in and hitting cancel order, and you have to call them. And at the time I went to do it online, it was either after hours or something, whatever the reason, I couldn't call because there was nowhere to call. So I was like, I'll do that tomorrow. I promptly forgot. So now a box showed up. Yeah, it's the other headers. So this wasn't on purpose, I promise. I didn't actually, I intended to cancel this order, but since they're here, I guess we can find out if these other headers I wanted to try out, we can find out if they're going to fit, and maybe if they do fit, depending on how well they fit and whatnot, maybe we don't run the Fenderwell headers on the wagon and slide them right on over to that guy, which absolutely has to have Fenderwell headers. Which, to be fair, I will be honest about that part. When I ordered these Fenderwell headers, I knew that these were the ones I wanted for that car. So if they wouldn't have worked out on this car, it just would have went into the parts pile for the gasser over there. But they worked out so well and they fit so good that we're in a bit of a pickle. So I'm gonna get these other headers out of the box, and we'll look at those, and maybe we'll fit them up, and then I'll try and decide on whether or not I need another set of Fenderwell headers for that car, or if these Fenderwell headers that are on the wagon currently migrate to the race car. Yeah, I know. I already cut the inner fenders that are been so tediously worked to fit this front end. Yeah, about that. Anyway, so I don't even want to talk about that part right now yet. Let's just find out what's going on with these headers. Let me show you what I got for a chassis header, and we'll find out if they will fit on the wagon with the steering and this front end, and then I guess from there we'll try and figure out what we're going to do next about the headers. Yeah, so give me a second. Let me get these out of the box. All right, so what we got, these are chassis headers specifically for Chevy 2s, but if you got a stock front clip, these aren't what you want, because these Speedway made these for use with their G-Comp front end for Chevy 2, which is, it's not Mustang 2 direct, but it is Mustang 2 based. Suspension design, rack and pinion steering, control arms, etc. And these are headers that they made for that front end, and the motor mounts on that front end are in a very similar position. The steering rack's all very similar. The suspension, as far as how it attaches to the frame, is very similar. So in theory, these should work on a regular Mustang 2 front end as well. And based on how much this tucks in right here, this is where the steering's going to be, is why I believe that these are going to work and not give us issues with the steering shaft like we saw with the stock front clip headers. So we'll start with the driver's side, which, by the way, 3-inch collector here. These headers did come with a set of header bolts, so I've got lots of header bolts, and they came with another set of gaskets. These were packed a little better than the Fenderwells were, and the gasket doesn't have a kink in it like the ones that came with the Fenderwell headers. 3/8 flange, and the welds look good on it. And I don't remember what size the primary tube is, but it's it's pretty good size. I mean, it's not dinky dinky, it's not jumbo. It's probably about right for most healthy small blocks. So let me get this Fenderwell header out of here. I did already loosen it up a little bit so that it just hopefully come right out. And then if we're lucky, that new chassis header will slide in from the top, and we won't have to get all frisky and crawl around underneath the car to try and wiggle it up from the bottom. Hopefully. Yeah. And I don't. This is going to create quite the torn decision, because I did really like the way these Fenderwell headers look. But if those chassis headers worked well, man, you can't beat them for the price. They're under 300 bucks. I think it was like 280 bucks for that set of headers, which absolutely slaughters anybody else as far as header pricing. They aren't ceramic coated or anything. They just have a protective paint coating on them. So nothing special there. But, for the price. All right, slide on in there. Maybe. No, it looks like these might have to come in from the bottom. Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Oh, it's so close. You know what it is? It's the steering shaft. If the steering shaft wasn't in there, that would drop right in. So, disconnect the steering shaft. All right, let me get that out of the way. Okay, steering is disconnected from the column. I just have it down underneath. So now I think this will go in from the top. Oh yeah, piece of cake. Piece of cake. Just let it work around. Brake line in the way. Oh yeah, these, oh my goodness. These are actually going to fit really good. Of course they're going to fit really good. Why wouldn't they fit really good? They're built for this. Decisions, decisions, decisions. All right. That one's in. Man. The only thing that's oh, excuse me. The only thing that's a little bit close, and I'll show you here in a minute, or a second, or 3 seconds, or whatever. You'll see it here shortly. Is the oil filter, and part of that's because I'm running a long truck filter. If I ran the stubby filter that is commonly run on Chevy 2s, that clearance would be fine, but holy smokes, that is a beautifully fitting header. Man, wonder how easy the plugs are to get to. Let's find out real quick before I give you a look. That one, boot clearance on that should be alright. You definitely would want to run a 90-degree boot on number 1 cylinder. Number 2, yeah, There's plenty of room there. Probably a heat sock, but with most headers you want to run a heat sock on over your boots anyways, but that one's fine. Number 3, the header tube out further. Oh yeah, plenty of clearance there. Again, a heat sock wouldn't be a bad idea. And the number 7 cylinder. A little hard to get started, but that's actually because of the dipstick tube, not the header. Dipstick tube right where my hand wants to be. But clearance on that, again, it's right behind the tube, so if you were wanting to check your plugs hot, that might burn you, and that one might be a little difficult to get the boot on, but there should be enough clearance there, especially if you run the a shorter plug, a plug that's got shorter porcelain on it. But yeah, let me get you a closer look. Okay, yeah, like I said, these fit really good. I mean, ignore that there's these brake lines right here. That's actually where I bent them down from where they go. There we go, up to a master cylinder that's not there, and those are getting replaced. But you can see that the oh, we kind of need to put the steering up, huh? That would help. Let me see if I can do that one-handed real quick while we're filming. I gotta go reach down this way. Okay, and then extend. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. It's a little tight right there. We'll have to rotate it and see. See if I can get a little more light in there. So right there at the number 5 primary tube gets a little tight to the shaft. Might be able to do something with that. It looks like I have it on a little too far too. I think I went up too far. My hole lined up? Oh, nope, a little more down. Okay. Oh yeah, that actually helped getting it in the right spot. That's pretty good clearance right there. And seeing that this shaft is all steel, there's no rubber in that shaft. The only thing you kind of have to pay attention to is if it burns the grease out of it, that'll affect the telescoping. However, since this is a fixed point and that's a fixed point down there, neither one of them are moving in relationship to another, that shaft doesn't need to actively slide in and out. So not a big deal if it burns the grease out of it and dries up. But yeah, otherwise, like I said, the plug clearance is pretty good. The number 1 is right here. I got a finger width between the head of the plug, and these are just standard AC Delco 45S. Yeah, R45S Delco plugs. So they're not short porcelain. If you got short porcelain plugs, you'd have more clearance, but you got a finger width here on this one. I don't know if I can get you a camera angle to see. Oh, there we go. I think you can see it. Yeah, so more than a finger right here on the number 5, and back here on number 7 you got a finger width gap between the head of the plug and the number 7 primary tube. And what I was talking about as far as the oil filter, we put the light down there. Whoa, easy light. I don't have anything really to point with. We'll use my ratchet. If you look right down here, you can see where the tip of my ratchet handle is moving around. You can see that oil filter is right there at, what primary tube is that? Oh, that's actually number 1 primary tube. But that top tube coming into the collector is right against the base of that oil filter. But like I said, that's the standard full depth filter that's what, 5 inches tall. Let's see, if I can get a tape measure, take a quick measurement of that. We'll see if we can just eyeball it down in here. And we're looking at, I don't know if you can see the tape measure at all, but that filter, yeah, it's about 5 inch tall. It's not the short one. You can get the short one that's only about 3 inches deep, and well, then you'd have 2 inches of clearance right there. So yeah, at least this driver's side header, it fits really good. And how's the ground clearance? Granted, now consider that I've probably got 1.5 inches up on the car dollies right now, but you can see that that collector doesn't really hang but maybe 1 inch lower than the transmission pan. So yeah, ground clearance is pretty good. It's nice and level at the collector. That's a nicely fitting, well tucked header. And an absolute worst case, if once we get a gasket in here, if this gets to where this is a little tight, that's a simple ding of the tube, and you've got all the clearance you need for the steering. And if you watched a recent video on this car, I don't know how far back it'll be by the time this one posts, but the shifter lever with the Fenderwell headers to use the column shift was a problem. So running these headers, that might not be an issue. I might actually be able to take this lever and clock it all the way up so that we can get it out from behind this plate here, and the shift lever kit might actually work. The line of sight down to the transmission's clear. So yeah, that's a possibility. I guess at this point I need to pull the passenger side and stuff it down in there, which I'm much less concerned about the fitment working on this side, because the only thing it has to get by is the starter. And if they screwed up bad enough and it doesn't clear the starter, well, that would be impressive. So, but with how well this one fits, I highly doubt that's going to be an issue. The homework was definitely done on these headers to make sure that they fit, and I imagine they fit even better with a G-comp front end than they do on this Heights front end, because the geometry is a little bit different. So I wasn't 100% they were going to work, but there is no question that these headers, these chassis headers, will work on a Heights or a basic Heights style Mustang 2 front clip. They're nice, very nice, very nice. They tuck in really well. And if also, something else to keep in mind is a lot of guys don't run this slip shaft for the steering like I got. They'll run a solid shaft, which means you won't have the outer sleeve. You'll only have this inner smaller shaft from end to end. I think that's a 3/4 double D. That's a 1 inch. So if you ran a 3/4 double D only, then your clearance right here at this tube would be even better. So yeah, something to keep in mind. Anyway, let me get the passenger side thrown on there real quick. We'll take a look at that, make sure that that's all happy-go-lucky, and then we'll have to make a decision on what to do, because I'm going to have options, which is the complete opposite of what I had a few weeks back. Oh well. Yeah, so it's in there. And let me tell you what. That went in even easier than the driver's side, which you watched me do with no effort. Oh, change modes, change modes, change modes. There we go. Went in with no effort, and the clearance are outstanding. Yeah, this probably the best set of small block headers as far as fitment for application that I have ever encountered that weren't, you know, like a custom build header. And I'll tell you what, I've never owned any custom build headers. I've just seen them. But yeah, we've probably got a 1.5 finger clearance on the number 2 cylinder. The 4 and 6 have a finger of side clearance, just like a block hugger header does. almost, you know, basically the same design with those tubes. You're probably looking at this bar, aren't you? Yeah, my bad. My bad. But yeah, that's fine. You probably want to run a heat boot on, or a heat shield on your boot there, and probably right here. And then on number 8, we've got almost 2-finger clearance on the plug. I mean, room for days. They go in just fine. Easy to install. It slid right down in from the top. Don't even have to go underneath. The clearance around the starter, I mean, you can probably fit a standard old starter, the big body one. You probably get that in there without a problem. And there's a big old pocket, not the floor, there we go. So there's a big old pocket right here where you can go in with the starter without even having to take your header off. And if you run a mini starter, then that's even easier. There's plenty of room to do a starter on that. I don't even have to try it. Just looking at it, I know there's not an issue there. So, yeah, damn. That puts us in a pickle because the Fenderwell headers were freaking cool. I mean, this was so cool in there. A lot of cool factor. But I bought these other ones, not really on purpose. It was on purpose originally, but then I meant to cancel it because of the Fenderwell headers. And now that I have them, and they fit so good, I mean, the fitment, it's like they were designed to fit this car. I know, what a concept. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Well, I probably know what I'm gonna do, all right? I'll think about it some more. What would you do? Would you go with the old school cool factor Fenderwell headers, which fit pretty dang good? And let me tell you, you can't beat spark plug access with Fenderwell headers. Or would you go with the extremely well fitted chassis headers and that also fit really good? I mean, both are now excellent options. Yes, now I gotta commit to one or the other so that I can do the other stuff that needs to be done. Reasons for, let's real talk here. Reasons for pros and cons. Pros and cons. Let's start a pros and cons list. All right. On one side, chassis headers. The other side, Fenderwell headers. Fenderwell headers, freaking cool, right? Chassis headers fit really good. Fenderwell headers, freaking cool. Chassis headers. The steering clears without modification. Fenderwell headers, same thing. Steering clears without modification. Spark plug access, that goes to the Fenderwell headers. Fenderwell headers have better spark plug access. What else we got? Oh, heater goes to the chassis headers. We can hook up the factory heater using the chassis headers. Not that I was really worried about needing that, but it's gonna work. Collector size, they're both 3-inch, that's a draw. Primary tube size, I actually think they have the same size primary tubes. I'll look that up. If one or the other has a larger primary tube, actually I don't know if larger is really better with the type of motor I'm running, because it's not like I'm running a huge horsepower motor or boost. So I'll just list the primary size, but I think they're the same size primary tubes. The chassis headers, they will run the exhaust down the center of the car inside the frame rail is where I'll run that, and I'll end up going over the axle and out behind the rear tire. The Fenderwell header will run outside the main chassis support rail underneath and come out in front of the rear tire. That was the plan. If you didn't know it, now you do. I don't know that that's really favorable to one or the other, but exhaust routing is different. The inner fenders, they're already cut for the Fenderwell headers. Go figure. Side note, those inner fenders, they'll work on that car too. The benefits of having multiple projects that are the same platform. Completely different cars being built for completely different stuff, but the convenience of part crossover is golden. Which same goes to be said with the Fenderwell headers. These will fit on either car. The chassis headers, let me look. Yeah, those would work on either car as well. Because, well, the steering, oh yeah, the steering situation should be better on the gasser with the way we're gonna have it set up, because the steering gearbox on the gasser assembly mounts up here on the frame rail, which means the steering is going to be running much more in line with the frame. So the clearance on the driver's side header would be fine. So Fenderwells and chassis headers work on both cars because both cars are small block Chevys. But let's be real, that's getting Fenderwell headers no matter what. Even if we run this set on this car, I'm still getting I would get another set for the gasser, because it's not really a gasser if it doesn't have Fenderwell headers. Sorry guys, if you've got a gasser and you're running chassis headers, it's not a gasser. Just saying. I know, don't hate me for it, but it's got to have Fenderwell headers to be a gasser. That's just, I'm entitled to my opinion. You may have your own. Anyway, that's where we're at, guys. The G-Comp headers by Speedway work beautifully on a Heights Mustang 2 front end, which means they will probably work beautifully on any of the front clip conversions of this style, whether it's the TCI, the Heights. Speedway's got one that's this style that's not their G-Comp. I imagine they work great on their G-Comp front clip as well. It probably fit really good on a TCI front clip. And let's be real, they're like $289 or something like that for this set of long tubes. Again, not coated. These are not coated, which is a big price difference for most headers. But for under $300 to have quality long tube headers that fit really well, you cannot go wrong. And looking at this, I suspect that there's a good chance these would probably fit in an S10 too. Just throwing that out there. It's not like I don't have an S10 around that I've played with different stuff on before. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that project. Maybe someday it'll be on the channel and we'll do something with it. No promises when something like that will happen. Anyway, yeah. Let me know what you think. Chassis headers, Fenderwell headers, which ones belong, which ones should go on this car, which ones are, I mean, the chassis are probably more appropriate. But man, Fenderwell headers, the Fenderwell headers are cool. And I don't know. Jump on down there in the comments. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to hit that subscribe while you're at it, so that you can find out what we end up doing on this in the long run. And also to start seeing this project come together, because we have been hammering on this thing recently. And we have some big goals for that. You know, there's a whiteboard over there. There's an event on there. Yeah, we're going to go. And we're going to race. I just got to hope that we're not doing it under Flintstone power. There's still a lot of work to do. So we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks again for dropping in. And hopefully it's Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully everyone had a safe and a good time on Memorial Day weekend, because by the time you see this video, Memorial Day will be long gone. So, see ya.